Hi everyone, welcome to ZBTR TV. We do thank you for tuning in today. It is Saturday, May the 25th. Time is flying, 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 flying. Welcome to the show today. Please do follow us and on Facebook, YouTube, and all the social media platforms, ZBTR TV. Do tell a friend that the show is live. Today we have a very, very interesting discussion. Now, before we get into that, I also want to just to say a big thank you for all of you. Remember last weekend we rallied and we mobilized some funds for one of the citizens in Zambia who had a mental health challenge, and she was living at the intercity bus terminus. A friend introduced her to one of our show psychiatrists, that is Motinta, and we found a house for her to transition so that she picks up her life and goes on. Okay, we were raising rent money for 12 months. I think we've done 9 months. All right, so if you are still interested in giving and support, it's only 500 kwacha per month. 500 kwacha, that's $20. There's the information there. You can still do that. We need like 2-3 people to donate, and we are going to be on our way with that. All right, today's show, we're talking to 2 Zambians who operate companies here in the US at a global level, if I may say that. Okay, so let's welcome our guest. The first is Mrs. Daphne Mumba. She's the managing director for Nicom Business Consulting and Trading. Daphne, good morning and welcome to ZBTR.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody.
I believe you are in Atlanta.
No, I'm actually in Texas, Houston.
Oh, I don't know why I was thinking that you're in Atlanta. Okay, good, 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 good. Also
Sure.
joining us, this one I know is from Atlanta. Bella Siangonia is not a stranger to this show. Bella is the Chief Operating Officer at Atwende Health Enterprise Limited. Hi, Bella. It's been a minute.
Good morning, Vanessa. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Everything good?
No, everything's excellent here.
Okay. Let's begin our conversation. My first question to Ms. Daphne, when was Nicom Business Consulting established and what services do you provide?
All right. Nicom Business Consulting and Trading started off its life in South Africa, Johannesburg, in 2005.
Okay.
And later on, we got established and incorporated in Zambia, my home country, in 2009, and we have since been operating in Zambia. And we supply prefabricated buildings for all types of applications. That includes schools or classrooms, hospitals, clinics, including mortuaries, and storage facilities, warehousing units and cold storage spaces, as well as offices and residential housing. So in a nutshell, it's shelter for any application that you can think of. The difference is it's a prefabricated unit that we assemble either in the factory or take it for assembly on site. And we also not only supply them, we offer repair and maintenance services for them. Whether the units were supplied by us or not, we are available to make sure that their longevity is assured for the users. Yeah, and that's basically what we do. And I just want to say that the prefabricated units that we supply are eco-friendly, and they can be installed anywhere, even the most remote places. So that's what we offer.
Okay, so why prefabricated buildings or facilities? And explain what eco-friendly means.
All right, so why prefabricated buildings is simply because they are efficient and effective. They have longevity as well. And the fact that you can have a building in the shortest possible time is encouraging to have them. And you can put it in a very tight space without having to affect the environment where you're putting it in. So they're eco-friendly in the sense that they're energy efficient in their production, and also the accessories that I put in there. I'll give just one example of the lighting that we use in them is also eco-friendly in the sense that it does not have any effect on the environment, and therefore it also contributes to green effects and non-effects to our climate changes, of which we are working on every now as a globe. So they are really efficient on that.
Okay. Now, we are talking about a business operation here, which is basically, if I may say, all over Africa, not just Africa. The purpose of this conversation to some extent is for people to learn, to get help. The stories of starting a company, Daphne's and Bella, is one of a daunting task. So in your early stages of your operations, what were some of the challenges your company faced, which you can advise newly formed operations or that they can avoid? What are some of the pitfalls that people should avoid when they are having a startup?
Well, it is very daunting, I should say, but it takes a lot of courage. And I believe a lot of us out there do have that courage. The main challenges that we faced were cash flow, of course, and entering the market, because remember, as you enter the market, there are already players there. But I'll set a challenge and how you can go about it in a nutshell. So you find that the already existing competitors are actually way ahead of you. But what helped us is being persistent and knowing exactly what you have to offer and closing in the gap. So the challenge will be there, but know your story, know what you have to offer, and know the value add of your product. And when you have a value add product, it's very easy to go in and also prove that you are able to perform according to the client's expectations. Having a cash flow challenge grows as you have more clients coming on board, because they all have different payment terms. So the more credit clients you have, the more challenging it becomes. And remember, you're a startup. So as you're a startup, you want to get every fish out there. And some fish may have you to play according to their game rules. And you have to bend a little. And accessibility to funding, when you don't have enough knowledge of where to go and how to go about it, is also another daunting effect, because nobody wants to give a startup company any funding or any loans because they don't know how you're going to perform, and it's a risk for the funder or for the lender especially. So that too is quite challenging. But what you have to learn to do is ensure that as you get more clients, you try and put back the cash that you generate into your business so that you can build your own capital base.
Okay, we shall come back to that again. Bella, the health sector at Twende Health Enterprise, the health sector is very broad. Very, very broad. What is a Twende Health Enterprise about?
Okay, so a Twende Enterprise or Twende Health Enterprise is a startup healthcare company. So our vision is to provide distributed healthcare services within the African continent with a primary focus on Southern Africa. So to your point that yes, healthcare is broad, but the challenge that we face in Africa is the issue of access, quality, and also cost.
Yeah.
So our vision is to really bring healthcare as close to the needs of the population as possible. So right now, the model of healthcare is like you go to the hospital to get healthcare.
Yes.
We want to bring healthcare to you as close to your home as possible.
Well, how does that look like in Africa? You want to take healthcare as close home as possible. How
Yes.
does that look for somebody in Sinazongwe? How does that look like for somebody in Winilunga? How does that look like for somebody in Chadiz?
Excellent. Yeah, so one thing that we all have to be mindful of is that the rate of technology changes is very rapid. So everyone in Zambia, honest everyone, for the most part, people in Zambia have mobile access. And with the introduction of new technologies like Starlink, for example, you're able to connect globally. So we want to leverage that technology to really connect people to healthcare providers through what is known as telehealth or telemedicine. So a good example, let's say your grandmother is at home. She's not able to walk because she has a wound. You can use your mobile phone, connect to a provider through our telehealth platform, and you'll be connected to a clinician who will be able to assess your grandmother remotely and determine if she needs to really go into the hospital. And if not, this is where we can now leverage what are known as community health workers. They have been shown to be very effective. So essentially, community health workers are lay people that are trained in the basics of healthcare provision. So through my work with the Morehouse School of Medicine, for example, we've done work in Malawi where we train young girls to be community health workers, and they go out in the communities and provide care. So it's a similar model. So we intend to use community health workers, nurses, and then depending on the needs of the client, then of course you escalate the type of specialty or special services that you need. So it's all about leveraging technology and then of course providing access to high quality medications and medical devices for the people that we serve. So again, really leveraging technology.
Okay, so these healthcare workers or providers that are on the ground, are they your employees or it's a collaboration with already existing health facilities on the ground?
So at the moment, we don't have healthcare providers or community health workers yet. But our vision is, of course, is to collaborate. That's our main goal, is to partner with every community. So for example, let's say Lusaka, Chawama, it has a neighborhood health committee. So our vision is to partner with that neighborhood health committee to design these health services and tap into that existing infrastructure, because we know these individuals have been well trained, they're well known in their communities, they're well respected. So that makes it easier to increase healthcare services uptake versus trying to send in someone who's coming from outside who doesn't know the community or is not known within the community. So partnerships are a key element of our business model.
Okay. For Daphne and Nikon Business Consulting, it's straightforward how they make their money. Okay, you need a prefab. They make one for you, whether it's a warehouse, like she said, a mortuary, a house, or whatever it is. How does a Twende generate its income from these services you'll be providing?
Yes, so similar model to what we have here in the US. So the US has somewhat of a hybrid system, not as robust as, let's say, German, but the idea is to charge clients fee for service, tap into their private insurance, or tap into the National Health Insurance Code, NEMA. So that's one aspect in terms of revenue generation from healthcare services. But we're also entering through pharmacies as well. We want to operate our own pharmacies that are vertically integrated, meaning that we control the entire value chain in terms of import or manufacturing of medications, supply and distribution. So we are eyeing local pharmaceutical manufacturing, just given that COVID-19 really taught us the how vulnerable our countries are to supply chain disruptions.
Okay.
So we are looking into entering the manufacturing space. And this is where our colleagues such as NICOM come in now to help us with build those factories and warehouses.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So that's
Okay.
our revenue model.
That's your revenue model. You can both respond to this question. And I believe most of your operations, both for NICOM and Twende, should I say 100% or 90, 80% in Africa? Is that correct?
Yes, Twende Health, 100% Africa. That's our focus, yes.
And NICOM?
The same for NICOM. All our prefabricated buildings are manufactured in South Africa. And going forward, we plan to have a plant in Zambia as well, because we are correctly, positioned there.
The reason I asked,
so everything is 100% Africa.
Okay, the reason I asked that question is that everybody has attested to this. Doing business across African countries can be a challenge, because the rules in Malawi are not the same as in Congo, as in Egypt, as in Rwanda. So how has the Africa Free Trade Area, I hope I said that right, how has it helped your operations? Is it even working? Is it operational? Is it... Because a lot of things in Africa are said by politicians and then they are non-existent. What's your experience, Daphne, Africa Free Trade Area?
I would say that it's actually in existence, and it still has room for improvement, but like everything else. And I think how it has helped us working across borders, and mostly Southern and Central Africa, though we have also managed to enter partly East and West Africa. It has enabled us to have certain commodities, or let me say codes, because remember each item has its own tariff code for customs. So certain items have got exemptions on duties. So with that, it has made us a little bit more competitive and also price effective for our clients, because we transfer the duty fees onto them. But with that leverage, it becomes very cost effective for both the user and the donors that are actually running with project. So it has helped a lot in that sense. And also time spent at the port of entry, I feel like it has improved, though you do find a few personnel there that are a little bit behind with understanding what is what. But overall, I feel like it has really had benefit on trading within Africa.
Okay. It's you need to be strong to do business in Africa, right?
You do, and sometimes the other challenge actually is payments. It also leverages on easing payment methods, but it's not every African country. That's part of it, that actually is having that easy to transfer money out of their country into another country where you would have an account. So some much easier to have the transfers done, but others a little bit, they're still having a few challenges. I believe they're still working on.
That's interesting. We need to circle back to that point you are just making, Daphne, on payments and all those kind of things. Now, to a great extent, this conversation, those watching, that is NICOM's website, specifically, I understand, for Africa, if those would like to do business, or you have something, a project that you'd like to embark on, that's a website for NICOM. Okay, let's get to this. You both represented your companies at the US 2024 US Africa Business Summit, which is a high-level event. You don't only have African heads of state and powerful government officials attending, but also American top-level government officials and some, renowned global financial institutions. How did you learn or know about the summit? That's my first question. Bella, how did you learn about the Africa US Business Summit?
Yeah, it's actually by chance. I'd called my brother and good friend, Mr. Davis Chua, who's based in Washington State. I was calling him to help me with a webinar that I was doing for the Zambian Embassy on grants writing. And then he asked me, "Are you going to this event in Dallas?" And I said, "What is it? I've never heard of it." And essentially, he shouted at me for not knowing what it is, and then calling myself an entrepreneur. So I quickly went on the website, read what's happening about this event, and I immediately called our CEO, Mr. Clement Chua, and told him, "Hey, look at this event that's happening in Dallas in the next 2 weeks." And he quickly circled back with our funders, and they said, no, you guys need to be at that event.
Okay.
We need you to quickly buy your tickets, book your accommodation, and plan to go. And that's how we found ourselves there. But then I remembered, wait a minute, I have a sister who may benefit from knowing about this event.
Yeah.
This can be a great networking opportunity for her company with her husband as well. So I immediately reached out to her as well. I said, hey, look, there's this event that's happening. I think it would be good for you and your husband to have representation. And I guess, as I said, the rest is history.
So everybody watching, I was getting on to Bella. I'm like, he kept this within the family. You didn't call me Bella.
No, I'm sorry about that. I assumed because it was happening in Big Texas that you already knew.
That I knew. Oh, you know how it is. Something can just be around the corner and yet you don't know anything about it. Daphne, when you heard this news from Bella, so why did you decide to attend? You've never been to this event before, and I know it's quite pricey.
It is pricey.
Quite pricey.
As soon as I heard, I, like you did, went ahead and checked on what it was all about. And I was actually intrigued to go because the attendance laid out to me meant a grand opportunity for the business. And I must say, since you've already alluded to the expense, as much as it is actually not a cheap event, the value that you get out of it is worth every penny. So I weighed the values that we would actually get as a business compared to the cost of it, and it outweighed the cost. And I decided, we decided that we were going to have a participation in the summit. And I really appreciated for Bella to have informed us, because we really had no idea. We had not heard about it before. We have never attended it, obviously, because we didn't know about it. But it's really a great event for anyone in business, I must say.
Okay, so how is the event structured? How is it structured, and at what stage do you engage directly with the dignitaries who are connected with your business interests?
Okay, I think Bella, you want to go or should I go? Okay, so the way I experienced it, it starts off with a day of networking for the members, which I believe is more value add if you become a member of CCA, which is short for Corporate Council on Africa. And following that is the opening ceremony, which was grand, with every official there, every participant there. It was just a whole big opening ceremony. And it has plenaries planned for each day, and networking platforms are in place, from the breakfast, the lunch, and obviously the head of state have extra security. So you can still chance at a security, I guess, kind of distance still have access to them, and also you would be able to meet up with them at a point when they were done with the presentations. But I must say that the platform was quite open and very inviting and allowing for networking, including for the access to the dignitaries.
Okay, Bella.
Yes, so I concur with what Daphne is saying. The plenary sessions, that's a great opportunity to engage with the dignitaries, because some of them are actually part of the speaking panel. So, for example, one of the sessions I attended, the president of Cape Verde was one of the speakers on the panel. So once the sessions are over, there's some window period that you can approach them and engage and speak with them. And you'd be very surprised that they're all very interested in speaking with entrepreneurs and other government officials that are present. So engaging the dignitaries is much easier if you go into a panel or plenary session that they are speaking in. Even the same thing for government officials or financiers. The best time to approach them is right after the session ends, and they're open to having that networking discussion. You trade business cards, you send follow-up emails. So that's pretty much how the sessions are set up. But lunch is the best place to network, because everybody is in that relaxed environment, and they're eager to talk about what they do, the challenges they're facing, the opportunities they're looking for. So those lunch sessions are definitely valuable as well as networking opportunities to engage with these dignitaries as well.
Okay. So how did you go ahead?
Just to add to that, there was also exhibitions, so you could also get more information from the exhibitors, and we also had entertainment planned. We had a cocktail that too allowed for more networking, and they also had a gig going on. So there was work with play in that sense.
Now, there was a point I was following what was happening on social media. So help everybody watching and help me understand. Are there pre-arranged things that are sort of like sealed when they get to the summit, or you just get to meet there, you discuss a deal? Let's take, for example, Angola and that financing company about the energy deal. $1 billion deal gets signed right there. I don't know if you have any idea how that worked out or how it works out. Can you fill us in on that?
So from what I've gathered, these discussions, especially for big deals like that, they start ahead before the summit. But the summit, I believe, is the best place to now come and just finalize the modalities of the agreement. So yes, I know Angola, they did very well at this event. They signed a lot of energy-related deals.
Okay.
So I believe, yes, it's just an excellent platform to really sign these agreements, because during these early stages is where entrepreneurs such ourselves can now get the opportunity to participate in such deals.
Okay.
But I believe, from what I gathered, they start long before the summit, and the summit is really the officiating place to sign off on those deals. Or they may have started from the previous session or summit, and then they come and conclude at this summit for this year.
Okay.
And also adding on to that, you asked whether they are closed sessions. Yes, there were a few sessions that were on invitation only. So it wasn't every session that was open to everybody. There were a few closed ones, and I think that's where most of the key areas and deals were actually could have been signed off as well.
All right. In your observation, what is the biggest challenge with newly formed run companies by Africans? You are both of Zambian origin, okay? Based in the US, you are running companies from this end doing business in Africa. What is the biggest challenge?
Mr. Letta, sorry, before we answer that question, maybe just to speak on what Ms. Daphne was talking about, the closed sessions. So So if you plan to attend this summit, I strongly encourage that you start engaging your area of business, because we had the opportunity to participate in one of these closed sessions on health.
Okay.
And you're sitting essentially across from policymakers for national governments and also the entrepreneurs. So you're interacting face to face with policymakers, and you get to hear where they're shifting their policy and how you can also position yourself for those opportunities. So if you plan to attend next year's session, we recommend you start early and start engaging in those topics related to your field so that you can be invited to those closed sessions, because that's where the great and big deals are made, or where you learn about these big deals on the horizon.
I'm glad you took the discussion that direction, Bela. The question arises, Ms. Daphne, and to you, Bela. Where does one start from getting engaged with people in my area of business? This thing is done by the Corporate Council of Africa, right? So where do I start from?
Yes, to your point, yes. That's where you start. Become a member. So you pay the membership fee and engage in those.
Fee? Okay.
Yes. And start engaging in the content. Yeah.
And then, of course, when you become a member of Corporate Council on Africa, they begin to share. You are like on the mailing list, membership benefits, and all those things, right?
Correct. Yes, and also, when you check on the levels of membership, just make sure that you look out for a membership that you know is gonna allow you more access. Needless to say, every member is accorded an opportunity, but obviously there's levels in every field. So the higher membership rack that you have, the more opportunities are open to you. But what I picked up is the executive for the Corporate Council on Africa are very open and willing to assist. And I, for one, engaged a lot with the president herself, and she could speak to anybody, even on the corridors. And actually, everybody there you meet on the corridors, as long as I've seen that you're part of the summit, was very open to any discussion. So it wasn't necessarily in the closed doors of the conferences, but you could engage anywhere you met. And I engaged with her, and the encouragement that I got from her as a first-time participant, and also a growing business in Africa, from Africa, was actually very encouraging and promising. So they will be able to give out every information that you need to get you in and to be able to assist you even better.
Okay. So you would definitely say, the two of you, it's beneficial to be a member of Corporate Council on Africa.
I would.
Definitely. Okay. How did your company benefit from attending this summit? Bela, first to you.
Yeah. So for us being in the health space, as I said earlier, it's the opportunity to interact with policymakers in the health space, whether it's from here in the US or even in Africa. So a good example is I had opportunity to interact with ministers of health for Malawi and Angola, and also the permanent secretary for Botswana. So that opportunity to interact with them and hear the challenges they're facing really helps us from a strategy standpoint in terms of where we deploy our resources and just think about future growth opportunities.
Okay.
For example, you mentioned earlier about the Africa Free Trade arrangement and how that's working. So for us within the healthcare space, it's a little different because we have to deal with the element of healthcare data. So can data in Zambia be accessed in Malawi? Can it be accessed in Botswana? So those are some of the dynamics we have to be mindful of, because right now there's no regulatory framework that allows somebody in Botswana to access healthcare data for patients in Zambia. So those are some of the things we have to keep in mind as we grow our businesses. How do we essentially open up the healthcare space within the region? So from our beneficial standpoint, yes, it's meeting those policymakers, but also meeting the financiers. I think one of the best arrangements we had was meeting with USTDA and the African Development Bank, and just hearing about the financial resources that are available for entrepreneurs or businesses that are looking for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the benefits we got, is connecting with policymakers and, of course, the financiers of health projects or companies.
Okay, Daphne, what were some of the benefits that you got from attending this event?
Most of it was increased prospects for our business.
Okay.
Definitely a plus. We got informed on available resources for our business growth, which I think is mostly lacking in a lot of our businesses because we don't have a know-how and the knowledge of those resources that are available to us to help us get more established or stabilized and assist us in our growth. We got a lot of encouragement and motivation from fellow entrepreneurs and other business colleagues that were there. There was not only benefit for the company in terms of its growth, but I also got personal growth and development. Being in such an environment for a whole 4 days, mingling with all these knowledgeable people and, with all these connections, and it just also gave us a platform to raise our business to a better level and get recognition as a business. So there was actually, I think about between 1,600 or 1,800 participants. And
wow.
As you walk around, you are looking at each other's badges, you're stopping each other. So everybody takes note. And I realized that that kind of exposure is actually good for any business.
That's good. That's very good. Yeah, very beneficial. The biggest challenge for any business startup, of course, is funding, financing, and all these. So how do I raise money for my business?
I think to preface what you're saying, I think the biggest challenge, especially from an African or Zambian entrepreneur standpoint, and I say this not just as an entrepreneur myself, but as somebody who also helps companies raise money, is there's too much focus on me. The biggest challenge really is about forming a strong team that's going to work with you to.
Now, when you say right there, let's break down the me thing. What are you saying?
What I mean is we have a tendency to be solo entrepreneurs, meaning that this is Bella Siangonia Enterprises. I'm the president. I'm the chief financial officer. I'm the supply chain person. There isn't really much focus on how do I build a strong team around me to do this business, because here in the US, especially if you're trying to raise funding, it's not so much about you or the business idea that you want to execute on, given that most businesses do fail within their first 3 years of existence. So the funders are really looking at the team that you have. Do they have experience executing on similar projects in the past? Because given that you may not be succeeding on one business, you can always pivot to another side of the business that you may not be aware of. So I think the biggest challenge really is shifting our mindset to be team-oriented versus individualistic in our business approaches. That's the first challenge. And then that brings in the second piece that you're talking about, the financing aspect of the business. And then, of course, really defining the problem or the issue that you want to address. I noticed that some of the areas we struggle in, especially as entrepreneurs who are just starting out. Yeah.
Because the thing, Daphne, is that when I go to, maybe there are places I can get funding or financing for my company, I just don't know. Because if I go to a financial institution and tell them, what am I supposed to present, Bella? A business plan? Is that what you call it?
Well, I want to go to a bank, for example, for funding as a startup.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Where do I go?
Okay.
Where do I start from?
Okay. The best place to start with is your network, really. Again, it goes to what I was saying about this me. As an entrepreneur, you have to tell people what you're doing. I know people in Zambia, and I see this very often. I like, let's say Nigeria. Now, if I tell people my business, they'll copy me. they also start selling tomatoes. You can't have that mindset as an entrepreneur because you never know who's going to help you. You always have to tell people what you're doing, what you're thinking of, because the closest person who's going to connect you to potential funders are the people closest to you in your network. Like what happened with us with Davis telling us about this event is because of our network connection. But once you have your business really structured and you know exactly what you want to deal with, that's where really you have to be a great researcher. You go on the internet, start looking for funders in your ecosystem, whether it's here in the US, whether it's in Africa. There's a lot of money that's coming into the continent. So really you start with the research. But once you do the research, you identify a potential funder, you always modify your communication materials according to the needs of that funder. Some funders don't even want to see your presentation that you have developed. They just want to hear from you, who you are, what have you done in the past, what are you trying to do, and you take it from there. And then for big infrastructure projects, that's why entities like US TDA come in. If you're trying to do, let's say, a solar project in Malawi or in Zambia, you approach entities like USTDA to help you with a funding space. There's Prosper Africa. They can also help you with funding. International development agencies, let's say the Finland, the Danish governments. So the funding is there. The challenge is how do you articulate that you're the best person or the best team to address the challenge that you are trying to address.
Okay. So for those of us who are resident in the US, I know Ms. Daphne wants to say something on this as well. I see that smile.
I wanted to add.
Please go ahead before I disrupt.
Yeah, I want to add that. Thanks, Bella, for listing a few out because I think that helps for a listener out there because you're like, okay, I search and where do I start from? But I want to say that as much as the list could be agencies that are in the USA and some in Europe, they did specifically confirm that they do help businesses in Africa. So as Africans and even businesses in Africa, let us not hold ourselves back and think that it's only for those that are in the US. But these platforms are there for us as well in Africa. All you have to do is reach out and find out what each funder requires because their requirements will differ. So you need to know what they are looking out for and put your requests together according to their requirements and give it a go.
You see, that point you're making, Daphne, I remember I was having this conversation with you, Bella, and I said, a lack of information and not knowing where to go is, I think, the biggest problem. It's the brilliant minds we have out there, okay? And I know Zambia's got some of the most brilliant minds in our community.
Oh, yes.
I think we just don't know where to start from and where to go. Here's what we are going to do, all right? Those of you that like to get in touch, Bella does some of these things, okay? That's the website. You can go to www.vibrant-funding.com. What you mentioned, Danish, Finnish, we generally those of us who are participating in this are based in the US. Okay, is it US? What was that? USTDA? Is that what it's called?
Yes, that's one entity that you can approach for potential funding.
Tell us about USTDA.
So the caveat with USTDA is like this is best for big infrastructure project. So the United States Development and Trade Agency is a U.S. government agency that essentially connects U.S. businesses with export opportunities into other countries. So for an entrepreneur that's based in Zambia, Malawi, Ghana, you name it, if you're looking to implement a very large-scale project, you need to do what is known as a feasibility study, where you assess, or where you have a detailed assessment of your business plan. Is this project viable? So yeah, like right now, Zambia, we're struggling with electricity challenges at the moment. So you may have the idea of, okay, I'm going to set up a wind farm to generate energy. But you have to get an engineer, logistics people to come in and really assess how is this equipment going to move within the country, because our roads in Zambia, they tend to be very narrow, and these equipment for windmills are very large. So you already see the challenge you're going to face in terms of moving this equipment within the country. So you have to think about how do you break that equipment down and possibly assemble it on site. So USTDA is there for one, feasibility study support, technical assistance that can help you really define your business and the approach you should take, but also just a connection to other potential funders within the US government ecosystem.
Okay.
So that's one place you can start with. The other one I mentioned, of course, is Prosper Africa, where you can go and you can post your business plan and the amount of funding that you're seeking to raise.
Okay.
And this is where the private sector or private equity funding also comes in. They can come and see if they're interested in what you're proposing. But to do that, of course, you need to have very excellent communication materials about the business, because that's the first interaction they have with your business. So just make sure that whatever content you're putting on that platform really communicates the value that your business is going to bring. And of course, why you're the best people to execute on that. But then again, just network. You have to network with people that are in your ecosystem. Even your so-called competitors, you can approach them and see if there are opportunities to collaborate. You'll be surprised that those same competitors are looking for businesses to invest in, and they can invest in your business as well.
Really, Daphne?
Yes, true. I can actually attest to that. Sometimes we look at competitors as a threat, but what I learned is this actually reminds me of a question you raised, I think, which we didn't actually answer, on what the biggest challenge is for newly formed entities in Africa. But we tend to shy away from competition, but competition can sometimes become an advantage to your growth. I would say, like now, our Zambia office has signed up a partnership with AfriPanel in South Africa to specifically handle all our prefabricated buildings in Zambia. Reason being, we have been trying to bring up housing units that have got more of a brick and mortar feel, which is what the market is more familiar with and used to. And AfriPanel does make those units. And we are not going in as a competition, we are going in as a collaboration. So there we go. And if you go to their website and check their Zambia connection, or Zambia office, you'll find that Newcom Business Consulting and Trading is what is stated there. So that is a good example of a collaboration. With somebody who's in the very same industry as we are.
Okay. Our friends, we have a lot of people watching here. Okay. Swaya Choko says, she's saying, hi, Daphne. Brenda, good morning, ZBTR family. And I wanted to bring this point up, which Stella raises. This is referring to, what do you call it? The Corporate Council for Africa. What is the membership? Of course, you said it's in different levels, right?
It is in different levels. I think the best I would say is go onto their website and check out the membership. I don't want to make a mistake on the amounts, but I think from off my head, it starts from like $600 if I'm not mistaken, and that's for the year.
Okay, so $600 per year.
If I'm not mistaken, but please, I stand to be corrected on that one. It's best to go and check on the website. I can give you the budget summit fee for you can use it as a budget. I'm saying budget because I don't know how much the next one is going to cost, but for the one that we had in Dallas, if you want to plan and know what the range is, I could give that because I have that offhand. But for the membership fees, I would rather you go and see and pick the one that's suitable for you and check out the.
So when you are a member, the registration, you get a discounted registration fee for the summit?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes.
Because
actually, I may actually be giving a $600 fee for members for the attending the summit. I think that's what I'm doing.
Oh, wow.
But,
so that's the benefit of that. Yeah, because the registration was, for non-members, it was how much?
$2,200 for US
Bella is laughing. No,
no.
No, people need to hear these things and know that we need to start investing our resources and our money where it really matters. Okay, that's the reason we are doing this show, because we need to learn to put our money where it's really worth putting our money. It's very important. Okay,
and
so go to the website, Corporate Council on Africa. You know, Bill, I think I mentioned this to you. Dr. Patrick, who's been part of this, did introduce us, ZBTR, to Corporate Council on Africa, like what, 10, 12 years ago? And I participated on one of their, what do you call it? Before we went to virtual, that's a long time ago, before there was even all this virtual stuff. It was a calling conversation or discussion. I participated in that. Very, very valuable. It's a long time ago, but I think I need to pick up where I left from, and continue to be a part of it. It's very, very important for us to participate in this discussion. Okay. Dr. Munsanje says bureaucracy and red tape in Africa is a deterrence to business in Africa. Bella and the lady, how do you overcome that?
Take that one first? Yeah, I can take it. Let me see. So yes, and thank you so much, Uncle Elliot, for that message. It's true, bureaucracy and red tape in Africa are a big challenge, especially when you're coming from the US standpoint, where things tend to be very efficient. But it goes to what I always say to people. As Zambians and as Africans, for the most part, we tend to be spectators in our own economies. We have to take the stand and we have to advocate for policy changes to make the business environment friendly. A politician or a government policymaker, they may not really understand the challenges you face as an entrepreneur. That's why it's important to really form partnerships and really be at the forefront of advocating for change.
Yeah.
A good example is somebody in Zambia who manufactures for this, let's say who makes hats, those straw hats. You can move those hats much quicker if you had access to your neighboring countries very well. So like you don't have to wait at the Chirundu border to enter Zimbabwe or wait at the Kasumbalesa border to enter DRC. Yeah. We need to be advocating with our government officials to really loosen these regulations, not to say that we want to take advantage and do unethical business, but time is money. So when you have a truck that's waiting at Kasumbalesa just to enter DRC, that's money you're losing from fuel, from paying your driver, etc. So we as entrepreneurs, we can't just sit on the back and say there's too much red tape. We need to take a stand and really start advocating for policy changes to make things better.
Okay.
And especially those of us here in the US, we have an opportunity to help our countries leapfrog into some of these challenges. For example, registering a business in Zambia, it's a challenge. But here in the US, I can register a business within 2 hours and I can start invoicing and doing business. But in Zambia, that's a challenge. I can't start a business today and start invoicing today.
Yeah. Ms. Daff, I wanted to put this up here from Dr. Brazo. Great to see you. Some cross-cultural challenges that we've experienced working between Z and USA are work ethic differences. Ms. Daffin, I know this summit is held every year, right?
Yes, it is.
Do you know where it's going to be next year? Did they announce?
It hasn't yet been announced.
It hasn't yet been announced. Okay. Here's what I want us to do. Zambians, let's purpose to be part of this. Okay. You see, that's what Bella and I were laughing to say. What the point I'm trying to make is, let's invest where it really matters. Put your money where it really matters. Yeah, the benefits are great. We are afraid. Let's not be afraid to participate in our economy and things that there's something I wanted to put up here, but I can't seem to find it. But that's okay.
Can I answer Frida's question? Dr. Brazel's question about the work.
Just wait, Bella. Just Google Corporate Council of Zambia. Go there. Zambia, everybody watching, Malawans and everybody, Africans. Let's participate in this thing. I am of the view the only people that are going to change our country is us, not foreign. Foreign direct investment is good. But trust me, when Daphne goes into Chidilabombwe, our attitude is different from that big multinational company coming from wherever it's coming from. It's true. Let's do this and let's do it together. Okay. I want to show a few things here before we end. And because Bella, yours is still coming up. I know you and Clement will come back sometime whenever you are there. I want to give Daphne a moment here to just talk a little bit more about their company. What is this?
That's a prefabricated office building. It's right in Lusaka. And it's got a couple of offices in there. It's got a kitchenette and it's got ablution sections in there.
Okay. And these?
Those are hospital units. You can see the one picture there. It's got a ramp on it. That's for accessibility for differently abled patients. And the other one is showing a ward. You can see there's a wheelchair in that ward. And the other picture is showing a ward with a toilet for that particular ward. So that's our hospital units that we have over there. These are laboratory units. They were also used for, it's at a mine, and they were also used for sampling, for the mining samples, and some of them were used as offices.
Okay.
It's at a mine site. That was a hospital unit. This under construction.
It's under construction. Okay. And this?
Yeah. That one is a hospital unit also on the southern part of Zambia. And
I thought it was a house.
No. It's a hospital unit on the one other side. But yeah, that's how some of the houses would actually look like.
Okay. Good stuff. Before we end here, final question to each one of you. On a personal level, what was the most valuable takeaway from the summit? Under 1 minute, each one of you. We'll Bella first, then we'll end with Daphne. What was the most valuable takeaway from the summit?
I think for me, it was either think big or go home, in the sense that you need
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Just end there. Right there. Just end right there. Think big or go home. You've said it, Bella. That's it. Just right there. You can tell I'm a Pentecostal preacher. Just end right there. Miss Daphne, what was your biggest takeaway from this summit?
For me, the biggest takeaway was inclusivity and collaboration. And with those two married together, I think the sky's our limit is beyond the sky. I don't believe the sky is the limit. I believe that our limit is beyond the sky. So if we combine that and seeing how inclusive we can be, as Bella put it, in teamwork and bring everybody to the party that can add value to your business, I picked that a lot, and collaboration actually came in handy as well.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody watching. Please do get in touch with Miss Daphne or Bella. I did put the websites there for you to get in touch with them. let's do this and let's not be afraid to participate in our economy. Bella, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nathan.
Next time you hear something, don't just go daffing. Huh?
No, I'll take note of that.
Ms. Daffin, thank you for coming here. And please, whenever there is anything you want to communicate, you want to share with the community, or you want us to talk about, please do reach out. Welcome. Amazing stuff your company is doing. Very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having us, Mr. Nathan. Let me just say, we do have the First Ladies of Africa coming to Houston in June. So take note.
Oh, okay. Wow, wow, wow. That's good stuff there. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And please stay tuned. Next week, we shall be back here with another interesting discussion. And please plan to join us and have a... It's Memorial Day in the United States. Let's remember those that sacrificed their life, paid the ultimate price so that we could enjoy our freedoms. Bye.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.